For about the third year in a row, Wildwood has found a way to basically reinvent the camping concept. Hey everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Forest River, Salem and Wildwood today. They're the same thing under two names if you didn't know. Not trying to be Joe Cool with the sunglasses. I'm right next to an RV that has monster picture windows and I'm getting blinded by the light from the reflection and I don't want to ruin my eyesight any worse than it already is because we have a lot of cool ground to cover today with the new 300ICE. So this is a completely different concept in family bunkhouse camping right here. There are a lot of people who will look at a traditional bunkhouse RV, which Wildwood still makes a ton of. Like, you know, the RV that has the super slide over on the driver's side, all the windows are on the driver's side. It has the normal sofa and dinette and bunkhouse. Like, they have that, and that has been done to death by the RV industry. But so many people ask, why don't they put the windows on the camp side of the RV? There's people who say, like, I don't need a dinette. Dinette serve no purpose for me. What else can you do? So what they did is they built around that concept to give you an A and a B choice. So instead of only having that traditional bunkhouse RV concept to tote around, this one gives you maximized campsite window coverage. It gives you so much more counter space than any normal traditional bunkhouse would ever offer. An alternative dining arrangement with a kind of slide open countertop that can create a 4-person dinette, still has the electric space heat and fireplace right down by your feet. This model, really cool with a split private bunkhouse that can create an XL like loft, big bunk out. Like, you'll see what I mean. Like, this RV can be 2 single twin bunks and then a private front bedroom, or it can kind of be like a king and 2 queens kind of bedrooms. Like, it's a really weird twisted arrangement, but especially like if you have if you have sons and daughters and you want them to have split sleeping arrangements, you need to take a look at this. And I didn't quite know how to begin this one, so I thought I'd actually start basically from the entry door. Technically, I'm in the campside split bunk room door, giving you a little bit of a peek around right here. But if you go visit one of these, either at a Bish's RV location or anyone's location, I'm well aware of the fact that people who buy these things nationwide don't always go to Bish's RV, which is fine. That's okay. All I ask for is just a fair shake at one of our stores when you are ready. But if you go to look at it, this is kind of more the same look and flow you're going to get here. And there's a lot of different layers and details we need to bust into. First of all, I kind of gave you that really fast flyby floor plan in a flash, but I want to start going a little slower and then getting very detailed. A lot of these newer models, they're doing these just kind of vertical dividers right here. And I think part of what that's doing for us is helping separate and define the kitchen from the living space in an otherwise open concept. But look at the dual picture windows over on the campsite of the RV, plus not to mention the fact you've also got that viewing window in the entry door over here. So if you hear the kids screaming bloody murder, you can look out the window and you can decide, is it just the 2 kids fighting with each other the way that they are always going to do? Or did a gas station murder hobo stumble their way into your campsite and you've got to go out there and defend the kids with your life, you know? Those windows give you the choice of just flipping the deadbolt or, running outside with a sharpened spatula, whatever works best for you. Now, the trick with this design is it doesn't allow for some more traditional things, like because of the location of the stovetop, since it's not mounted against a sidewall, since they put windows there, it doesn't have traditional like cooking heat exhaust. So they actually include one of these smaller varieties of a max air fan here to help keep that airflow moving. The look around here, they added a lot of this really cool looking overhead shelving with some indirect lighting up there as well. It acts as like a really cool kind of accent piece. I will say though, that does mean it's not overhead cabinet storage. We will go through the rest of the storage later and I'll let you decide if there's enough or not. That's totally up to you. Did you notice, by the way, down here, you do have an electric space heating fireplace as well, providing you the, little chilly day. When you're camping in shoulder season, early spring, late fall, those things put out some serious heat, a lot more than I think people realize, and they will smoke you out of one of these things in a flash. But at the end of the day, this is a family model, and that does kind of look like a 2-person dining situation station. But thankfully, that table can extend if need be, so that if you do want to have, a family of four wrapped around this sucker, or use it as some sort of extended desk space or something, or just extra prep area, you could do that too. But it does create a nice, easy, wide open walkway when you tuck that away as well. Now, you'll still have the 15,000 BTU central Coleman Mach ducted air. It's an H ducted system, which basically means 2 air runs everywhere. But this is kind of I don't know, this floor plan has several calling cards, I suppose. I think this living room campsite window arrangement has one, but it's a split private bunkhouse. And they're not the first to ever do this in the history of history, but it feels like this is a concept that is suddenly regaining some kind of excitement, from a lot of different people. Because let's start over here, because we're on this side. First of all, I love all the radius work that they're doing. Like, if you notice, whether it's the mirrors when we get to the bathroom, just the slide side. And whilst they're doing a lot of radius curvature, it just really kind of draws your eyes in. It doesn't cost anymore. I think it's just very aesthetically pleasing. And you obviously see that you do have sliding pocket doors to close these rooms off. Now, this room looks a little funny in terms of size. And by the way, this is the Odeon cardboard TV. You're probably going to see a lot of these in some of my Wildwood footage in the near future. It's a display concept. Like when you go to a furniture store, they have the the little cardboard kind of things, This right here can create a bit of like a rainy day kid's second living room or something like that. And if you take a look at the right-hand side of the screen, you see that even at my size, sitting on that, it's very comfortable. It's very organic. Yes, I have to duck when I go to sit down in that thing, but it's not like it was problematic for me whatsoever. You know what I mean? It worked. Like, I had the headroom that I needed. Then over here, I'm like, oh my, that is a wider, I think that's a 30-inch entry door. I just kind of keyed into that as I walked past here. When you get over here on this side, this is kind of what's very interesting. I've seen a couple different manufacturers make versions of this, but we're going to come back to this because you might notice how that's a padded wall up there. First of all, if Uncle Gary's gone a little bit nuts, it does give you a good place to kind of, keep him safe. But down here, they had this extra little space. They created a little kind of mini desk area. And this actually, here, let me get down a little bit lower. This can flip down out of the way, and here, instead of just talking about it, let me go ahead and show you. What I love about this is they even considered, like, where does that stool go when you're not using it? They added some clips to the wall to make that simple. The converter fuse box is kind of hidden over here, black on black, and I hope you appreciate these kind of extra thoughts and details. I don't love this being located back in the kids' room, but at least when the slide closes, it'll still be accessible. God forbid you pop a fuse. So there's positives, negatives to everything. I'm just trying to represent this fairly. But check this out. This version of this split rear concept, the whole, this wall folds down, but it remains 2 separate rooms, essentially, because the kids can't directly interact with one another. My only concern with this is that if you do flip down this upper bunk, you are effectively blocking the air conditioning from getting to the lower bed. And kind of like the converter, my guess is that's the extra information that most people making RV videos probably won't give you, either because they just don't think about it, or they don't want to scare you off from buying it. And I want to give you the most real world impression of this possible, even if sometimes that's not the most perfectly positive kind of aspect. So again, when you do this, technically we're looking at open air bunks right here, but you are still creating, there's a very obvious separation. So if you have, one of my thoughts here is families that just have boys and girls, and they hit a certain age that maybe you don't want them necessarily sleeping together in the same room in the evenings, or they just irritate one another. This can provide that separation that traditional private rear quad bunks normally just do not. And I got a feeling this RV, this concept, is probably going to be what I call a 50-50, where I think half the people looking at this are going to go, these guys are stupid. What were they even thinking? And then the other half of people are going to go, oh my gosh, finally, somebody gets it and makes a floor plan for my family that no one else has been able to fulfill before. Like, if you look at this, you're like, I gotta have a traditional dinette. I can't do this little sliding extended countertop thing. That's okay. Remember, they still make plenty of floor plans like that. This is made for people who don't like the traditional RV way of things, and they want to Fleetwood Mac the sucker and kind of go your own way. Now, if we get Mr. Plant out of the way, we see that we actually have a choice of entertainment. Now, I don't think a TV is actually going to be included from the factory here. This is another one of those cardboard Odeon televisions named after the guy who helped pioneer some of the concepts here. His RV name is Odie, basically. But it looks like this could fit up to a 50-inch screen. And if you look over here, you'll see, some people's favorite musical act after Led Zeppelin became Page and Plant. That, I'm sorry. I'll work that out of my own time. That was not my best work, but I stand by it. I don't care. My point here is you have campsite window coverage or direct facing entertainment. Or if you're like one of those people who's like, I don't go camping to watch TV. I respect that. This is not an RV where you have to go camping to watch TV. The TV can just go away and not be a problem. Now, let me get this door moved a little bit because I've gone through, I've opened up all the storage. You can see the magnet holdbacks on here. I like the location of those power outlets. They have some drawers behind doors, often in Wildwoods. And just being real, the biggest reason that they do that, it's probably cost vectors. But also, when you close all this up, pardon me, I don't normally open and close a lot of storage on camera. I don't want to slam that shut. I don't want to bang your ears like a drum. It does give it a really clean kind of look that I think some people appreciate. And I got to tell you, I'm just a sucker for a giant window over a sink. I just personally really, really like that. Now, little details here. We get around the corner, we see more smart, easy reach power outlets, a couple little hooks that you can flip down in case you got like some dish towels or something, The other thing is they kind of just dress up a microwave to make it just look a little fancier than just a microwave. I'm not saying that's the reason you should buy a Wildwood, but they're just trying to do something with an otherwise boring, unused space, The refrigerators, they have stuck with the 10 cubic foot, 12 volt compressors. They were actually, truly like the first mainstream brand to adopt those things. But what they're doing over here in the pantry, they're not just giving you a giant door and pointing at it and saying that's a pantry. They're doing useful stuff inside, like actually including a wastebasket and whatnot. A tall vertical open space for things like brooms or Swiffers, or just a little bonus coat closet. Now, what this is actually technically an early proof of concept prototype. This will be paneled off. So where that's open face back there, it will be separated so that you have some of the storage here and then the rest of the storage there. The point is that they're not wasting the potential storage space, and they are trying to utilize every square inch of that as effectively as they can, which I think is probably really important considering the fact you have truly lost a chunk of overhead cabinet space by virtue of the fact that they went with these shelves. Now, these shelves can be functional space, but depending on what you're transporting, I don't know that they're going to be awesome for keeping stuff up there at your destination. I think they can make easy access to things when you get to your destination, but I don't know that they're going to be the most effective for getting stuff to the destination, if that makes sense. Working our way up here, again, couple little towel hooks. They're up a little bit high, maybe for the little kids, so you're going to want to kind of keep that in mind right there. Oh, hold on. I'm going to get around the corner here because the camera angle that I'm at prevents you from seeing that, although it's not massive, if you're just talking medicine cabinet stuff, ibuprofen, Flintstone vitamins, etc., you should be good. Now, when I was a little kid, I loved the taste of the Flintstone vitamins, and even though my parents very much told me not to take too many of them, I grabbed a bottle once and basically ate the whole bottle thinking it was like candy. And I thought my parents just didn't want me to have too much candy. Turns out when your kid eats an entire bottle of Flintstone vitamins, they turn out like me. So parents, don't let that happen. Also, it jacks up your iron intake so much that basically I could punch through a brick wall for a little bit. Pretty sure that's how that worked. I don't exactly remember. Plenty of space around the toilet, though. That is perfectly spacious around that porcelain stool right there. The tall open face storage over here on the right, I don't love, but as long as you're just using it for linens and towels, it will be fine. For transporting things like body washes, it's going to be a little bit problematic. Now, this is built on the full Salem Wildwood platform, not the X-Lite, not the Cruise Light. What that means is that we're 6'9" tall floor to ceiling. And that means a little more room in the bunks, but a little more spacious overall, but also more headroom in the shower. With my tall shoes, I was just squeaking under the ceiling line there. And we're on the back side of it, but notice, even once you leave the living room, they still maintain like the cool little radius work and whatnot. They went about their washer-dryer prep in this a little bit differently. First of all, the fact that it's even washer-dryer prepped is kind of exceptional. In a stick and tin bunkhouse camper, that is not a normal feature. We're going to get there in a moment. You do have the little steps at the edge of the bed. Now, this does mean that you're not, what do I want to say, walking around the bed. This is not what I'm going to call a walk around bed, but those are pet steps. So if you got a four-legged furry friend, they can scramble themselves up to the bed more easily. Over here on this side, it's easy to miss, but you do have some power outlets down there in that little location. This is also, I think they call this some kind of custom king bed. It's not. It's basically an Olympic queen, where it's 66 inches wide. This mattress technically is 78 inches long. A true Olympic queen is 80 inches long. But you can see it's on their little VersaTilt with the power headboard incliner. And that can create more room to kind of, walk around and get dressed in the bedroom. I'll show you that in just a second. But you can still lift the bed for storage. I will tell you, if you're going to lift the bed for storage, one of the things you really want to do is actually put the VersaTilt all the way down. Once again, kind of easy to miss. If you just peek through here, you can see how there are household and USB outlets on that side of the bed as well. Now, a couple little notes that they discovered here in the bedroom. They tried to stick with the same blackout roller shades in this bedroom that they used in the living room, but it's creating two conflicts that they don't want to deal with. It doesn't allow this to open. So this is going to become just a draw curtain, and that will also mean that over here, this closet door, similarly, will no longer have a conflict point. But this big sucker right here is either a giant bonus closet, which is how most people are going to use it, or you could use it for combo or stackable washer dryer prep, whatever works for you. Now, what I was saying, what this whole bedroom creates, I'm going to end up pointing you straight down if you're motion sensitive. I know some people don't do very well with this. It creates a big space right here, especially when the Versa bed is pulled up like I've done right now, where you actually have space to stand in your bedroom and get dressed. And that is not what many bunkhouse travel trailers will offer you. A lot of bunkhouse travel trailers, you're basically laying on the bed to put on a pair of pants. And it's not exactly the most fun thing doing the put on the pants dance. Now, you can see over here a couple extra little hooks, your TV hookups in the bedroom if you are so inclined. But overall, I think they've done a really good job of creating something that solves for other problems. And again, if you're like, nope, I got to have a traditional dinette. Well, they make that too. What I'm not sure about on here is what the road mode is going to look like. All right, back at the location of the entry door, where our interior video tour first began. I was kind of afraid something like this would happen. It is going to close up and essentially pinch things off. Now, technically, if you get those chairs out of the way, you could either crawl under there, or you could Dukes of Hazzard yeehaw over the countertop to get over there to the refrigerator and your kitchen space. But by default, that is going to be a little harder space to reach. That's where door number 2 in the bedroom will be handy. If you're going down the road, I don't know the math. I don't know the science behind this. A better look at that big open getting dressed floor space I was talking about. But there's something that triggers in a child where right when you pass the last bathroom on the highway, basically for next 200 miles, you hear, "I got a potty." You're like, "Ugh." Well, if you have to, if you gotta, you can make a quick emergency stop and you can still get to the bathroom here. You can also get to all the sleeping if you have a late night overnight kind of situation, but your kitchen facilities are a little more limited. Again, not always awesome, but I'll showcase it whether it's positive or not and let you decide if that works for you or not. So what about towing this sucker around? Well, if you take another look at the weights and the measures here, I'm personally of the belief that I don't know that you want a half-ton really hitching up to this thing too awful often, due to the fact that, I mean, we're basically 8,000 pounds dry weight, and it's like a 36, I think, foot-long RV. It's a larger RV than I think people realize based on that model number. And as a result, I think it just commands more vehicle necessity than most half tons are going to be able to handle. So moving on from there, a lot of brands adopted this cooler looking retro metal and then they went away from it. I'm kind of glad to see that Wildwood is one of the brands that stuck with it because it's 30% thicker. It weighs a little more, it costs a little more on your price tag, but it also provides better impact resistance against like hail country or, if the lawnmower flings a rock. Also, it has a layer of Tough Coat on it, which is an anti-scratch coating. Now, when you look at the sewer outlets right here, at a glance, it almost looks like a dual-headed sewer monster with just a straight shot down one over here. What you're looking at is all of your holding tanks come out of one single consolidated location. If you utilize the washer and dryer, it does not actually have a washer dryer holding tank. That's just a straight outlet. So you basically want on-site sewer for that. And, when you're running your washer dryer, it'll just go straight down this thing out of your, into the on-site sewer, basically. So kind of keep that in mind. This is a rack and pinion slide setup. We also have handy but boring features like a black tank flush. Boring to talk about, but a really handy thing to actually have over here. We're slide awning ready. You might notice the location of the furnace and the on-demand water heater. It allows them to standardize a lot of things. It is pretty far away from a little bit of the bathroom, but especially the kitchen. So you will have a little bit of delay to get some of that hot water service there, maybe similar to your house. You also have your heated enclosed underbelly, giving you that extended season kind of capability, comfort. I'm not going to sit here. I don't know of any stick and tin camper that achieves what people call a true 4 seasons rating. So I'm not going to try to overpromise and underdeliver this thing. The awning kind of looks a little bit small. It is anything but. It's just that, again, this is like a 36-foot long camper. It is a big rig here. Now up front, they do give us a nicely sized baggage compartment. But remember, on this floor plan right here, we don't actually have a full front pass-through. Most of your Wildwoods will, this just not being one of those. Working our way back here, they do have outside speakers, but notice their location are mounted just above the skirt level. You can actually see, basically they put one speaker just on the inside edge of each of those awning arms, the circular things, if you're searching for them visibly right now. So they're down low, they're at your campsite, they're not gonna blow the neighbors away. I appreciate that kind of little stuff. Now, they also do things, it's hard to tell in the daytime right now, especially with this baggage door open, but they include these just side fusion lights, basically the Tron lightsaber lights. And at night, that provides so much extra lighting out under your patio space. So you actually get to enjoy your area and get to enjoy it a little bit longer. Although once you go to bed, the neighbors would probably appreciate if you turn those off. Lights and speakers at night are the 2 most common complaints at public campgrounds. Hot, cold, outside utility shower right over here next to just a little outside fridge. That's a thing that you'll start to find quite often on the ICE series of Salem Wildwoods, Dad's medicine cabinet, if you will. They don't force a propane cooker onto this one. They do give you the propane quick connect down here though, so that you can slap anything you want. And if you notice in the distance, the man himself with the bowling arm to beat them all. Oh my God. Hey, can you show me where the weight room is? Oh, look at that beach ball. Yeah, it's that shape. It's right over there. Ladies and gentlemen, the RV hunter, he's also here with his Picasso shirt doing some work himself. People wonder sometimes, keep doing your thing. I'm in your way right now. People wonder sometimes what the different YouTube guys think of each other. We think we're all just a bunch of big silly clowns, basically. You know, that's what we think right here. So you're getting to see a little behind the scenes magic of how he makes his videos that are better than mine. Maybe all the magic. The roof of this, by the way, is fully walkable. They are sticking with the ladder prep. They have not slapped a ladder onto it, but that's definitely something you can do. And it's funny, over the years, I've learned to read models based on the window locations. This is one of those that if you're not familiar with this floor plan, you're going to look at this and go, what even is this thing? Because the windows don't follow those traditional lines with the atypical layout. So leave me a note. Let me know what you're thinking right here. You know, there's good, bad, ugly, and everything in between with every single model. I'd be curious to know how you take a look at this one. To help you figure out the dollars and cents of this, I'll leave you some links in the video description to jump to our website, where whether it's Salem or Wildwood, you'll be able to see pricing and availability all right there, all in one shot. And basically, when you're ready, we're ready. So until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.